Former executive turned lifestyle entrepreneur, Connie is ridiculously dedicated to inspiring individuals to activate their power and live their dream as a lifestyle entrepreneur. It's time to sit down, lie down, or squat down and turn up the volume. Up or Out with Connie starts right now.
Well, hello, this is Connie Pheiff, your unstoppable diva, and welcome to the Connie Pheiff Show. We are streaming and podcasting. We're a show, we're a little bit edgy. We tell it like it is. We're unscripted and unedited. Now, our listener base continues to increase. We're up to nearly 10 million listeners now each month, and we're continuing to grow. We're everywhere. So if you're interested in advertising, you better jump on with us soon, because we're filling the buckets and we don't have much more to go there. So make sure you check in with us. So let's jump to today's show, because I'm really super excited, because the guy that I have on this show today showed his book off there. I mean, he's no fly on the wall. But I mean, not really. He's a veteran television actor in Hollywood, an international speaker. He's published multiple books now. He's founder of the Actors Network and very involved in the Actors Union. And I know he's got his hat going there. And he is nothing less than shy when speaking his opinion. So you're going to recognize him from working on shows like Criminal Minds or Bones, Castle, CSI Miami, Lost. He's a former stand-up comic and improv artist. He has authored his first book, 7 Deadly Sins, which is The Actor Overcomes, which was published in June of 2016. And now he's authored Kevin's Dictionary, which is Life in a Word. And amongst his many contributions, he's also appeared on Desperate Housewives, which I found was an off from some of those, beat up cop shows that you've been on. So welcome to the show, Kevin E. West. Hey, Kevin.
Hey, Connie, how are you?
So you are not a fly on the wall.
No, I mean, that comment or that statement as part of the introductory little paragraph there in the book was more from the perspective of looking at things a little differently in life. But of course, the tagline on the actual book cover is a picture is worth 1,000 words, but a word can be a whole new picture. So.
Right. So I love the analogy, though, of you being a fly on the wall when your sister was trying to swat a fly. At a young age, you started taking notice and started realizing to pay more attention to other people, how they act, how they behave, how they go about their day-to-day life. So I know that that's where the analogy fly on the wall comes from you. So how did you go from, and I know you're in Nashville, so how did you go from Nashville to Hollywood?
Well, I think, unfortunately, a lot of times as proactive or as ambitious as we can be, depending on at what early age we may or may not be that way. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, it was a series of events that weren't necessarily that positive in my life that sort of put me in a position, because inherently, Connie, all I had wanted to do was be a professional athlete. That was my goal in life. And then I had transitioned kind of from baseball to golf and tennis. And I went to a public school, so I had to choose between golf and tennis. I couldn't play both because they were both in the same season. And I chose golf. I still think to this day I chose it because it's harder. And that doesn't mean tennis is easy. I love tennis. But when I came to the conclusion that my life situation was not going to really allow me to have the focus and the time that it took to be a professional, as I like to say, I was good enough to know how good I wasn't. And that just means that the difference between getting close to the top of the mountain and actually getting to the top of the mountain is quite a long way. And so I had a conversation with a guy one day, and it turned into a series of things, which led me to writing and creating my own little commercial and going to this huge talent event in New York, which I won the adult commercial competition. That led to some meetings, led to some strategizing, and I wound up going to Atlanta for 2 years and then and worked there, and then got my SAG and AFTRA cards, and eventually decided to move to Los Angeles, where I came in 1987. So I've been here quite a long time, and I was a stand-up comic and an improv artist. But then I started doing television, and I've kind of just never stopped.
You found your niche and like, okay, here I am. This is where we go. But we want to talk about your book. Let's talk about that book.
Well, that's kind of some of the irony is that I'm not saying that television or that being in front of the camera wasn't my niche in life, but I did found the Actors Network. So I've always been kind of a multi-creative guy. I am a Pisces. When I was a kid, my mom was a country singer and wanted me to write songs. And so I honestly think, Connie, I've known you for a while now. And as I kind of move forward, I'm not trying to move away from my television time.
Okay.
But I am certainly spending a great deal more of my time these days looking to motivational speak and also to create through writing. And Kevin's Dictionary, Life in a Word, my new gift book, perfect timing for the holidays, by the way. Because just accidentally, because it is good for anybody 18 to 80. This is an idea that I had 11 years ago. And I kind of played with it for a while, but the Actors Network was still a small business. The physical doors were open, and I closed those doors on June 30th of 2013. So about 5.5 years ago, and I got my show business book done, which you mentioned. Thank you.
Right.
Deadly Sins, The Actor Overcomes.
And that's when I had met you, and that book was just coming out.
That is correct.
And you had talked about the idea for this new project. You had talked about it then. So it's been something in the back of your mind, but you've been like crazy busy really as an activist. Network, and you're a golfer, and I know that you've done golfing events every year, and that's really, contributing that towards melanoma. And thank you for that. Both my parents died from that. But you're just an activist and you're just a giver at heart.
True. That is the nature of mine. And oddly, I was out of town when the fires happened here, and I felt incredibly displaced I had 2 friends so far that I know of who's lost their homes, and several other people who were evacuated. And I couldn't really, it was frustrating. I couldn't do much because I was gone. Right. But it is the nature of me. I suppose I call myself the Hollywood redneck because I do have sort of a really strong kind of athletic third base sensibility, and yet at the same time, I'm very much a creative artist. And so I think a lot of my time going forward, my next book is probably going to be a book related to dating. And Kevin's Dictionary, Life in a Word, the gift book that's out now. I have 7 to 9 companion books prepared for it if the book winds up being successful, because Life is the general book, and each book would have 50 words in it.
Right.
And the words simply have a little story underneath them that if you look at the word by itself or look at the story by itself, you wouldn't put them together. But the whole concept of the book is that it's a very unique way of looking at the definition of a word through a scene in life that we might witness. Hence the fly on the wall part. And that sort of creative nature of me is something that I think at this point in my life is going to be continued on a regular basis, because the companion books that would go along with this would be sport in a word, politics in a word, religion in a word, love in a word, school, home, work, travel, and food. And in each of those, if I'm ever fortunate enough to get to actually do them, none of the words in those books would be specific to its title. You wouldn't find any sports words in the book, but all the stories would be related to sports. You wouldn't find any religious words in the book, but all the stories would be religion oriented. So that's kind of the point of the concept of my new gift book, which is available at Titletown Publishing or Amazon.
Get your copy today.
I'm just saying it's a good holiday gift buy. I'm not saying, I'm just saying. But yeah, it is the nature of kind of the little kid that I always was back then.
Well, it's also, people's perspective on how they look at the world. Again, think of the fly on the wall. The fly on the wall could have several different meanings to it. And your meaning to it was a little bit different than somebody else might have when you first look at that. So it's really, looking through that lens. And we all look at the world differently through our own lens, through experience and, different things that have happened in our lives. Look at you and I. We both started out in the South. I went north, you went west, and, and somewhere in between we meet. Yeah. So, all funny and how life happens. So you're an avid golfer, philanthropist. You're hosting events. You're a serious Texas Hold'em card player. Are you still doing that?
I am. And ironically, I probably in the last 3 months, Connie, I've probably played less in the last 3 months than I have since I started playing. I started playing July 4th, 2004. Yes, I remember the date. But one of the things about playing, and if you play, when I say serious, it would be based on the amount of money you play for. You build up to that, but you can't really play that like a lot of other things without a particular type of focus, because it's not casual gambling. I play cards to make money, and I don't do it to sit around and waste time.
Right.
And I just honestly, which you might be able to imagine, between all the union working, the group that I'm a part of that's related to the SAG-AFTRA Actors Union,
right.
The last 3 months just have not been very conducive to my brain being in the space of playing cards. So what you learn, and by the way, you make this mistake and you lose money to learn this, it's called your education. I very much have realized, and probably not the best time for me to go play. So I've just kind of skipped it for the last 90 days. But I do play, and I play at Commerce in Los Angeles, which is one of the hardest card rooms in the world. So guys I play against are no BS.
I bet. Well, my dad was an avid gambler, and he was mostly Atlantic City. I remember limos pulling up to the house to pick him up to take him to Atlantic City for the weekend. So
wow,
yeah, or private planes. We had a local airport. We'd pick him up and take him to Atlantic City to play. And I remember going with him. One time I got to go with him one of his big gambling weekends. And he gave me a chunk of change and said, "Here, go gamble. Go figure out, find out what it's all about." And I went and shoe shopping and got massages.
Well, I was getting ready to say he didn't. You can't give somebody money who doesn't know how to, and just because they're going to lose it. You did way better. You got some actual goods and services out of it, because otherwise you would have just thrown it away.
I would have. I went to a show. I enjoyed the weekend by myself. I was single. I enjoyed it. And then later he's like, "You didn't gamble?" I was like, "I didn't know what the hell I was doing." And he said, "I got shoes." I was a single mom at the time. It was more fun for me to get a massage and a new purse and shoes and have a nice movie and dinner show.
Yeah, that's the first rule of playing cards, is you don't call yourself a gambler. If you're going to learn how to play, then you are a card player, period. Gambling is not something. That's why when I learned Hold'em through my good friend Chad Brown, who was a world-class player, who unfortunately is one of the many people I have lost far too soon. He died of an odd form of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma 4 years ago. He would have never let you play cards if you were going to call it gambling.
Well, he was expecting me to go do the slot machines or something, because he was a card.
Still.
But I was like, I'm not doing that. That's
Well, once I learned Hold'em, I stopped playing blackjack or anything else forever. So I don't do it.
He was blackjack. Yeah, he was behind the red ropes, and he was.
Ooh, yeah, well, that's.
So when you have a limo, or even a private jet pick you up at the airport waiting for you.
He was no BS.
No, he was no BS when it came. So basically, how I looked at it was he was giving me money to get lost because he was going to gamble for the weekend.
Yeah, that was babysitting cash. It was just self babysitting.
Right.
Get away from me, kids! You bother me. Here you go.
Yeah, that was how I took it. Go take a walk. Here's some money.
Well, I think shopping and massage was a great choice.
Yeah, so that was my choice. The Connie Pheiff Show is heard everywhere. You can find The Connie Pheiff Show on most of your favorite networks. It's time to now recognize and thank our major networks for all of their support. In the house, we have Conscious Business Radio, C-Suite Radio, Transformation Radio, iHeartRadio. We are also heard on Google Play, Apple Radio, Stitcher, and so many more that I just can't keep up with them all. I'm Connie Pheiff, your unstoppable diva. Learn more about our gym and how we can work together at my fancy schwanky website, ConniePheiffShow.com. I'll see you over there. Until then, like, share. Now back to the show. So let's get serious for a little bit.
Yes, ma'am.
So what do you think is the world's greatest wound? What do you think is really going on right now?
The world's greatest wound? If you choose to look at that question from a particular perspective, which I think is hard not to do, which is if the United States of America is still legitimately considered or viewed as, in some way, the pinnacle of democracy and fairness. Now, we both know that our country is filled with all forms of, corruption, et cetera, like any other. But if you deem it such, then I would have to say the answer to that based on our current leadership. And, even as we speak today, the attitude coming from the current leadership, it would have to be empathy. The lack of empathy, and I do not mean that in an exceedingly crazy liberal way. I'm just talking about the concept, and you'll hear therapists and you'll hear some people discuss that somebody just they don't have an empathy gene. The concept of empathy I would have, because you use the word wound. So I'm responding to the fact that you chose the word wound. I would say that right now it is a lack of empathy. Yeah. And yet, there's that bumper sticker, Connie, that, says act, think globally, act locally, right?
Right.
Now, I'm not telling you that there aren't thousands, millions of people around the world who have a great deal of empathy and do amazing things. You see it every single time there's a natural disaster in this country and others. That's not what I'm saying. But if you pull back and take it from the standpoint of you asking me the wound in the world,
right?
Well, unfortunately, yeah, the top percentage of people in any country who are the wealthiest and or in control, power and money, right?
Right.
And I'm still going to stand by the fact that it would be lack of empathy.
Okay. So where does your fear come from?
Where does my
fear?
When you ask me where does it come from, do you mean internally or intellectually?
Internally.
Internally, any fears that I've had in my life, as it commonly is for a lot of us, and I was a brief double psychology major, didn't get my degree, so I have no pieces of paper on the wall behind me that says I'm allowed to talk to you about this, even though I'm really good at it. Any and all of my fears would have come from my childhood, like most of us. It would have come from, I grew up without a father, and I only had one parent in the household, and it would be directly related to the perfectionism issues that I grew up with.
Okay.
100%. That's where it would come from for me.
That's where your perfectionism comes from.
It's an easy example. That's an easy answer for me because it's something I've been fairly clear of for a long time.
So will you ever be satisfied with the work that you're doing?
Woo! Now, what are you in my therapy session? What are you doing, Connie?
Let it all out. Just let it out.
Yeah. I need a hanky. I will tell you that being happy with is absolutely a goal of mine. I would not sit on this program with you and tell you that I won't be, because if I were to say that, then I would be saying somehow that I would fail at that effort in my life. And I'm not real big on projecting failure. Okay. I would like to believe, and I think at the end of the day, for a lot of us, whatever our fears or whatever our issues may be, however we language them or however we tag them or however we title them, I think at the end of the day, they really come down to inner peace. That's what I think any of those things are associated with. And I can only tell you that for as hard as I've worked in the last 25 years of my life, I'm certainly far more at peace with my mortal coil life to this point. To say I'm 100% okay with it and at peace with it, no, I'm not. Do I believe that I will achieve that? Yes, I do. And as hard as I've worked, it could happen any day. It's not one of those things I think that you can't really see it. You can't necessarily touch it. It's a terribly intangible internal thing every day. But I do know that based on how I wake up, I make a joke all the time with a couple of friends of mine. When my feet hit the floor in the morning, that's how I define it. What goes literally through my body and through my mind. Mm-hmm. I know that I am closer to it. And when you pick up something someone writes that they put out to the world, no different than this book, even though the book has a particular concept to it. I don't think it's real hard to see a lot of pieces of me throughout this book. I don't think that's hard to do because I did pick 50 words randomly out of the dictionary. And then I picked, 50 scenes from life that whether I've actually seen them, done them, experienced them, or made them up, the fact that I chose those probably tells you a lot about me in some way.
Okay. You probably could see it in there. So where do you go from here? You talk about you have another 7-8 books, compilations. Let me ask you this. Where can our listeners get a copy of your book? A. Secondly, if they turn on their telly, what show are you going to be on next?
Ironically, just for the last couple of years, I've been doing a lot of smaller films. I'm not really sure why more of my TV work has not wound up coming to fruition. I mean, Lord knows I've read for a Y50 4 times and SWAT a couple of times and Ray Donovan and a number of other shows. But, I was just on, as we say, I had a pin in me for Mindhunter and a couple of other things. But, that's the one thing about being an actor is you cannot control being hired. That's not your choice. All you can do is keep doing a good job.
Well, that's the life of an entrepreneur.
Correct. And it's one of the things that's all throughout that other book of mine, which is, if that's not something that you do well with or can handle, then being a performer for money and in a hard marketplace is just not the choice you should make. You can be a performer. You just necessarily shouldn't do it in LA, Chicago, or New York. Or even Miami or San Francisco. So that's kind of just that's sort of like an ongoing idol in my life when I go audition for things. Mm-hmm. Me focusing on, I have the life right story to a fascinating man's life in Kansas that I am currently working on turning into a feature film and or a TV show because I have a couple of friends at Netflix. Okay. And I am working on my dating book, which is the next really big book I'll do. The companion book for Life in a Word, that's going to be, if I can, manage to get Life in a Word, the gift book, to be successful. Okay. I wouldn't start commission to writing any of those unless, so I'll be spending a lot of time marketing this particular book right now, for sure.
Okay.
There's a lot of my time.
Cool. So what I want our listeners to know that if you want to get a copy of Kevin's book, a couple of things that you need to do. One, I want you to go to the Connie Pheiff YouTube page because we have a new YouTube page because we're growing the Connie Pheiff TV. Subscribe to the page. Send me a screenshot. And along with today's secret word. So, Kevin, I'm going to ask you to pick the secret word for today.
Ooh, the secret word for today.
Yeah.
Chameleon.
Ooh.
Is that too long?
Nope.
Should we shorten that? Okay.
So the secret word for today, chameleon, screenshot that you subscribe to the Connie Pheiff Show. And I am going to send you a copy of Kevin's book. And also a copy of my Marketing Masters book, and also a copy of Jeffrey Hazelwood's Think Big, Act Bigger. Now, that's a giveaway. And because I want you to like the page, I want you to get a copy of Kevin's book. So I'm going to be getting a stack of them here in the office, and we'll be sending them out to all of our listeners. And also, you can get multiple copies of Kevin's book. Just go over to Amazon.com and just look for Kevin E. West. And you'll also find a copy of his book there, Kevin's Dictionary, Life in a Word. So you definitely want to get a copy of that. This is awesome. This is awesome. So Kevin, thanks for being here. I'm just super proud to have you back on the show. Love the work that you're doing. I love you. I mean, you really know how to get shit done. I mean, that's basically what you do. You say, I'm going to do it, and you do it. So thank you for being here.
Absolutely my pleasure, and I appreciate you having me on. I appreciate you being you and getting people to be unstoppable. And I'm happy to do it anytime. And obviously, I have to get you a personally signed copy of the book, or I'm in real trouble.
Absolutely, it'll go in my. You can't see it. It's hard to see it. I need to get a new stack, but I have books behind me autographed by the author. So definitely send me a copy.
It's coming.
All right. So again, we are growing. The Connie Pheiff Show is just amazing where we're going next. And I'm going to be doing a lot of announcements about that coming up soon for 2019. And again, we have feature advertising available. So learn more about that at our website at theconniepfeifshow.com. And don't worry if you don't know how to spell Pheiff, just type it in there anyway and it'll pop up. We took care of that. And because the Pheiff team is ridiculously dedicated to inspiring individuals just like you to activate your power and live your life as a lifestyle entrepreneur. And because we are all unstoppable together. So I'm going to leave you with this thought for today. Successful people have two strengths: silence and smile. So be silent. Be that fly on the wall, because when you are silent, you avoid problems. And when you smile, you're ready to solve your problems. So they just sound like you, let us know. You're listening to the Connie Pheiff Show. And if you like what you're hearing, like us, send us and share us with your friends and colleagues. Subscribe with us on iTunes, and definitely check out our new YouTube page. Subscribe because it's awesome. And until next time, activate your power and know that you are, and we are all unstoppable together.
Hey, y'all. Thanks for listening to Up or Out with Connie. If you like what you hear and would like to be a guest, email the team at bookme@uporout.com. Learn how you can activate your power at activatemypower.com. We'll see you over there. Activate your power and be unstoppable together.